RTP section for CA Foundation. Alright, so let us start. In the previous section we have just finished off consignment ka basic introduction, what consignment is, what are the contents of the consignment ka ledger and so on. Now we'll be starting with the questions. So let us start please. I'm starting with the first question. The first question appears to be from May 2018. Fine, let us start please. Mr. A of Assam sent on 18th of Feb 17 a consignment of 1000 DVD players to B. So consignor is A and consignee is B. ठीक है, costing 100 each. Expenses of 1500 were met by the consignor. ठीक है, B the consignee spent rupees 3000 the consignee's expenses. ठीक है, for clearance and selling expenses were 20 per DVD player. So selling expenses भी है, तुम्हारा basic expenses भी है and consignor expenses भी है. ठीक है, B sold on 15th of March 600 players at 160 each and again on 20th May 300 players for 170 each. So can I say 600 plus 300 that is 900. अरे ये क्या आ गया, 1 minute. हाँ, 600 plus 300 is 900 DVD players were sold out of the consignment lot of 1000. That means 100 मेरे closing stock के अंदर बैठा हुआ होगा. ठीक है, B is getting a commission of 25 एक मिनट a commission of 25 per DVD player sold plus 1/4 important of the amount by which the gross sale proceeds less total commission exceeds thereon a sum of rupees 125 per DVD player sold. So this is something which is important. This is a way in which commission is to be computed. It's simple maths, वो अपने को equation लेके solve करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है, B has sent the amount due to A on 30th June, which means the account is settled as on 30th of June. Prepare a consignment account and B account in the books of A, that means books of the consignor. So apart from commission, the question appears to be very simple. As usual, we'll start the posting. When we come to commission computation, we'll read the commission ka line again and solve commission separately through a working note. ठीक है, so first things first, we'll prepare a consignment account as usual. Goods sent to consignment is 1000 at rupees 100. That is nothing but goods sent to consignment account. I mean consignment account debit to goods sent to consignment. That is 1 lakh coming as 1000 into 100. ठीक है, then expenses of 1500 were met by consignor. That is consignment account debit to cash bank. Debit side पे होगा 1500 which is this amount. ठीक है, आगे बढ़ेंगे. Then B has spent 3000. That means consignee has spent. The entry is consignment account debit to consignee for rupees 3000. So consignee is the name is B. Amount is 3000. That's sorted. Then and selling expenses were 20 per DVD player sold. Can I say he has sold? He has sold 600 DVD first and then 300 later. Appears to be 900 DVD players sold and that into 20 appears to be 18,000. Consignment account debit to consignee as far the expenses is concerned, जो यहाँ पे दिख रहा होगा B account for expenses 18,000 rupees. ये भी अपना पोस्ट करके हो गया. ठीक है, आगे बढ़ेंगे. Then sales, he has sold 600 at 160, so he has my money, so I debit the consignee. So consignee account debit to consignment, so by consignee 600 into 160 and the same again debit to Mr. B because he is my debtor, because he has my money. Okay, I haven't sold the goods to B. B has sold to customers but B के पास अपना पैसा पड़ा हुआ है because of which he is my debtor. So I'll again debit B and 300 into 170. Amount is 96,000 का first sales and 51,000 का second sales. ठीक है, then comes my closing stock valuation. Now simple. Now sorry, उल्टा, first my commission, then we'll deal with the closing stock. Commission अब पूरा adjustment बाकी है. So B is getting a commission of 25 per DVD sold. So 25 into 900. ये तो commission है ही उसका, बराबर. So this is the basic commission which he is going to get anyway. And 1/4 of the amount by which the gross sale proceeds. मतलब let commission be X. His commission is 1/4 of. So 1/4 of the amount by which the gross sale proceeds. The gross sale proceeds appear to be 96,000 and 51,000. ठीक है, so 96,000 plus 51,000. This amount exceeds total commission. Total commission we have assumed to be X, ये वाला. So I'll again minus subtract X. thereon exceeded a sum at 125 per DVD sold, again minus 900 into 125. This entire thing is the additional commission. It is 1/4 of the amount by which the gross sale proceeds exceeded the total commission, and an amount which is 900 into 125. I will have all numbers on one side, x being unknown on the other side, and I will solve the equation to get the value of x. This is what the ICAI must have done. I hope they have done in detail. Yes, they have done. So 900 into 25 is the basic commission, 1/4 into gross sale minus x, the amount of commission, minus 900 into 125. Simply move the numbers from one side to another, keep the x on one side, and x will work out to be 24,900, and that total is my commission, for which entry I will pass as consignment account debit to Mr. B for commission. That amount is 24,900. So this question can be revised only for the commission calculation part. बाकी other things are pretty normal. अभी क्या बचा अपना, एक ही चीज बचा, क्लोजिंग स्टॉक वैल्यूएशन. Very simple. I think 100 is my closing stock because 900 is sold, यहाँ से मिल रहा है. So 1000 is the goods sent on consignment minus 900 were sold, appears to be 100 as the closing stock. And I will take the proportional expenses of the goods sent on consignment. इसका भी expense लूँगा, इसका भी expense लूँगा. As far as the clearing charges go, इसका भी proportional expense आएगा in stock valuation, because I take all expenses up to the point where the goods have reached the godown. एक्सपेंसेस सेलिंग के हैं, तो गोडाउन में एंटर करने के बाद ही खर्चा है, तो वो अपन नहीं लेंगे. कमीशन ऑब्वियसली इज अ सेलिंग कॉस्ट, तो वो अपन स्टॉक वैल्यूएशन में नहीं लेंगे. सो 1 लाख plus 1,500 plus 3,000 pertains to 1,000 goods. What pertains to 100 goods? This is what the valuation must have been done in the working note. So ये तो अपना कॉस्ट आ गया, ये proportionate my expense and proportionate expense of the consignee, सब मिला के 10,450. All you can do 10,000 अपना 1 lakh plus 1,500 plus 3,000, the whole का 10%, because 100 is unsold out of 1,000, it will arrive at this figure. All the amounts are posted in the consignment account. Time has come to balance the consignment account, and this is the profit that is going to be transferred in the profit loss account of my business, me being the consignor. ठीक है, consignment account is done, and we have to simply make a consignee account. So I will debit the consignee for sale proceeds, appears to be 96,000 and 51,000. I'll then credit the consignee for his expenses. I'll credit the consignee for other expenses. I'll credit the consignee for the commission as well. Balancing figure, the question has said it has been remitted on whatever date, 30th June. That is nothing but by cash bank. If the question was silent on the remittance, then this amount would be by balance carried down, and the consignee would be our debtor for this amount. बराबर. So पूरे सम में it is only this calculation which is important, and on the last day this should be gone through, ताकि तुमको एग्जाम में ऐसा कुछ आए तो you guys know how to solve the commission aspect of such questions. ठीक है, ये अपना हो गया क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 ऑफ द आरटीपी विच पर्टेन्स टू मई 2018. किधर गया ये वाला. We will now start with question number 2, and this pertains to November 18. So let us start. Question number 2 of the RTP, November 2018 on consignment. Let us start. On 1st Jan, Jill of Mumbai consigned to Mr. Jack. Jill is the consignor, Jack is the consignee of Chennai for sale at invoice price. ठीक है, so goods have been sent at invoice price. ठीक है, मतलब loading effect will come. Jack is getting a commission of 5% on sales at invoice price and 20% of any surplus realized over and above the invoice price. ठीक है, goods costing 1 lakh were consigned to consignee at invoice price of 1,50,000, which means the loading content is 50% of cost or 1/3 of invoice price. ठीक है, expenses of the consignor is 10,000. An account sales was received by Jill ठीक है, showing that he had given a sales of 1,20,000 in respect of 4/5 of the goods. So if 4/5 of the goods are sold, it means 1/5 are still in the closing stock. ठीक है, जैक का expenses were 3,000. ठीक है, जैक accepted a bill drawn by the consignor at 1 lakh and remitted the balance due in cash. ठीक है, prepare consignment account and consignee account in the books of Jill, that is the consignor. ठीक है, so pretty straightforward sum, just that यहाँ पे तुम्हारा 4/5 of the goods have been sold बोला है, which means 1/5 is closing stock. I don't think there is any abnormal loss here, but commission is to be computed separately because it is 1% on sales at IP and some other percentage on any difference between actual selling price and the invoice price. That is the only thing that can be revised on the last date. बचा तो पूरा sum काफी simple लग रहा है. So let us start. We start by preparing consignment account. We start by sending the goods at invoice price. So consignment account debit to goods sent on consignment going to be at invoice price 1,50,000. The minute I post 1,50,000 as the invoice price, go on the opposite side and we reverse the loading content, that is buy goods sent on consignment. Loading content is 50,000, that is 1,50,000 invoice price minus 1 lakh being the cost. 50 is the loading content, normal. अब उन्हें बहुत बार किया है अपना सम्स में. ठीक है, कमीशन बाद में कंप्यूट करेंगे. Where are the expense of the consignor? Can I say consignor expenses is here 10,000 rupees? Yes. So it is consignment account debit to cash bank. ये वाला amount is 10,000. ये हो गया consignor expenses. ठीक है. Account sales of 1,20,000. अगर उसे sale किया है, so he becomes my debtor. So I'll say buy consignee. So buy consignee for the entire sales amount. ठीक है, ये अपना हो गया sales. Then his expenses of the consignment are 3,000. So consignment account debit to consignee to Jack, that is 3,000. ये अपना हो गया. Then accepted a bill drawn. Bill drawn का एंट्री तुम्हारा आएगा bill receivable account debit to consignee. That is not going to impact the consignment account. दो चीज़ बचा है, stock valuation and commission. Now how do you compute that? Can I say 4/5 of the goods were sold? Yes. So invoice price was supposed to be 1,50,000. 4/5 goods sold is 1,50,000 का 4/5 appears to be 1,20,000. So can I say this is the IP of goods sold? ठीक है. What is the selling price of goods sold? Selling price of goods sold is equal to 1,20,000. It's a coincidence कि selling price भी 1,20,000 है, invoice price भी 1,20,000. So can I say there is no content of the sales which is above the invoice price? Yes, which means उसको सिर्फ ये basic commission मिलेगा, ये commission additional नहीं मिलेगा because none of the sale proceeds का content is above the invoice price. So 120 into 5% is going to be his entire commission. This is what the working note must have said. Invoice price of goods sold is 1,20,000. Goods were sold for 1,20,000. There was no surplus. Therefore, extra commission of 20% will not be given to Mr. Jack. That is as good as saying 5% of the sales of 1,20,000. That is 6,000. That is the amount of commission for which I will credit the consignee. The amount is payable to him. एक चीज़ बचा, सेल अपना स्टॉक प्रोसीड्स और क्लोजिंग स्टॉक. सो आउट ऑफ 1,50,000 का इनवॉइस प्राइस, कैन आई से 1/5 इज रिमेनिंग बिकॉज 4/5 वॉज सोल्ड, विच मीन्स 30,000 इज द IP of closing stock. In my stock valuation, I also take all proportionate expenses up to the point of the goods reaching the go down. So I will take which all costs. I will take 10,000 का proportionate expense. I will take commission नहीं, stock reserve नहीं, consignee expenses ये भी लूँगा मैं because these are कौन से expenses है ये 3,000. Let's read Jack's direct. हाँ, तो ये भी लूँगा मैं. So I will take 3,000 का proportion expense and I will take 10,000 का भी proportion expense. That is 1/5 of both because that is my closing stock content. Have they given the working note for valuation? I don't think so. Have they given अलग से नहीं किया है. ठीक है, so we'll do it separately. Very simple. सो ये अपना हो गया इसका. देन व्हाट इज द एक्सपेंस 3000 एंड नहीं 10,000 एंड 3000 कंसाइनर एक्सपेंसेस एंड जैक एक्सपेंसेस. ठीक है. सो इधर गया 10,000 का भी 1/5 एंड 3,000 का भी 1/5 appears to be 2,000 and appears to be 600. So can I say 32,600 is going to be the IP of the closing stock. This should come on by closing stock as 32,600 जो यहाँ पे आ चुका है. ठीक है. But since the closing stock is at invoice price, I have to reverse the loading content. Loading content ये दो amounts में नहीं है because it is already at cost. So इसमें loading नहीं है, इसमें भी loading नहीं है, इसमें ही loading है. And loading rate was 30,000 into 1/3 because this is the IP, appears to be 10,000. So 10,000 is the loading content. This will go consignment account के debit side पे as to stock reserve जो यहाँ पे बैठा हुआ है as to stock reserve 10,000. I can see all the amounts in the consignment account are highlighted covering everything, which means balancing figure can be found out as profit on consignment. This will enter the consignor's books of accounts as profit from the consignment, which is 23,600, and that is the profit of consignment. ठीक है. Then we have to make consignee account. We will first debit him for the sales because उसके पास अपना पैसा पड़ा हुआ है. We'll credit him for his expenses. We'll credit him for his commission. We'll also credit him for he accepting a bill, that is BR account debit to consignee. To consignee मतलब by bill receivable. He accepted 1 lakh and the balance is what he has remitted. 11,000 he will pay today. 1 lakh he will pay when we present the bill to him on due date, या फिर if we discount the bill with the bank will go on the due date to consignee and the consignee pays the bank. बैंक क्या करता है, वो क्या करता है, अपना लुकआउट नहीं है. If we discount the bill and if we don't want to discount the bill, we'll simply present the bill on the due date and the consignee has to honor his acceptance. And this is how question number 2 which was on November 18 would be done. ठीक है. काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन था only as far as the commission is concerned and maybe stock valuation. Other things are pretty much simple in this question. So one more question gone. ठीक है. Now yes, so now we will start with the third question of the RTP and that question appears to be from May 2019. चालू करेंगे. Hopefully yes, let us start with this question. May 2019 consignment question number 3. Let us start. Green of Delhi purchased 10,000 pieces of sarees at 100 per saree. This appears to be the purchase price. Of these 6,000 sarees were sent on consignment. Something new. 10,000 उसने परचेज किया लेकिन कंसाइनमेंट पे भेजा है सिर्फ 6,000. सो रिमेनिंग 4,000 he'll probably keep in his godown as his stock. As far as consignment is concerned, we are not linked with the balancing figure of 4,000 sarees. अपना लेना देना सिर्फ 6,000 sarees से ही होगा. ठीक है. To Mr. White of Calcutta. ठीक है. सेलिंग प्राइस इज 120. उसने भी आई थिंक उसने गुड्स कॉस्टिंग 100 भेजा है एट सेलिंग प्राइस, दैट इज द इनवॉइस प्राइस. ठीक है. The consignor मतलब I paid 3,000 for packing and freight consignor expenses. White sold 5,000 sarees at 125. So can I say he has sold above the invoice price of 120 per saree? The answer is yes. 5 rupees extra. ठीक है. And incurred 1,000 for expenses selling. ठीक है. And remitted 5 lakhs to New Delhi on account. ठीक है. White is getting a commission of 5% on total sales plus a further commission of 20% of surplus price realized over the invoice price. जो 5 रुपया surplus है इसके ऊपर he'll get 20% additional commission and basic commission appears to be 5% of sale proceeds. ठीक है. You are required to prepare consignment account books of Green and Mr. Green account in the books of the agent that and also Green account. Oh, we have to also prepare this consignor account in the books of the consignee. ये something अनकॉमन है. सो इट इज़ गुड क्वेश्चन टू रिवाइज ऑन लास्ट डेट बिकॉज एक कॉन्सेप्ट ये है कि 10,000 गुड्स परचेज किया है लेकिन 6,000 ही भेजा है. सो 10,000 minus 6,000 being 4,000 is not a consignment lookout. And we have to also prepare consignor account and that is something not very common, so this can be seen on the last day as a quick revision. ठीक है, ये अपना हो गया क्वेश्चन पढ़ के. लेट अस नाउ गो टू कंसाइनमेंट अकाउंट. वी स्टार्ट फ्रॉम गुड्स सेंट, and goods will obviously be sent at selling price or invoice price of 120. That is 6,000 sarees into 120 appears to be 7,20,000 I think. ये हो गया अपना टू goods sent on consignment 7,20,000. Only sarees sent on consignment will come, and this is not 1,000. लिख लो चाहिए तो कहीं ना कहीं हमने सिर्फ परचेज किया है 1,000, भेजा है सिर्फ 6,000. I'll only concern myself in this account on 6,000 sarees. ठीक है, दिया होगा गुड सेंट. नाउ विल रिवर्स द लोडिंग कंटेंट. दैट इज 100 के ऊपर 20 appears to be, oh sorry 100 देख मैंने मिस्टेक कर दिया. 6,000 sarees के ऊपर 6,000 sarees के ऊपर तुम्हारा 20 रुपया. बाय गुड्स ऑन कंसाइनमेंट 6,020 appears to be 1,20,000. ठीक है, ये अपना हो गया लोडिंग कंटेंट का रिवर्सल. ठीक है, कमिंग टू कंसाइनर एक्सपेंसेस 3,000, सो इट इज टू कैश बैंक 3,000, ये भी अपना हो गया. देन वी हैव वाइट हैज सोल्ड 5,000 sarees at 125, so buy white. ठीक है, 5,000 आउटपुट ऑफ sarees sold at 125, amount appears to be 6,25,000 as total sale value. ठीक है, ये भी अपना हो गया. then we have incurred 1,000 for selling expenses. Consignment account debit to consignee मतलब to white. selling expenses किधर गया 1,000, ये भी अपना हो गया. then 5% ऑफ सेल्स, ये अपना हो गया कमीशन का. नाउ कमीशन इज 5% ऑफ सेल्स, सो अपना सेल्स है 625, तो 625 का 5%, दिस इज द बेसिक कमीशन. एंड एनी सम above the invoice price qualifies for 20% commission. So 20% commission on 25,000. ये 25,000 कैसे आया? This is nothing but 5,000 sarees sold and 5 rupees is the extra content. This 25,000 is this. This is how you arrive at 25,000 additional commission, and दोनों मिला के total amount is 36,250. This is what the amount is due to the consignee. He is my creditor, so consignment account debit to consignee for 36,250. commission भी चला गया. ठीक है, anything is unsold, I think 1,000 sarees unsold, so 1,000 sarees into 120 is the invoice price, and I'll take proportional expenses. So let's start with the valuation of the consignment, of the closing stock of the consignment. So this IP will come definitely, consignor expenses will come, and I think selling expense will not come because it is selling expense, it is after the goods reach the godown, so that will not come. Commission obviously never comes, so it is 3,000 ka expenses proportionate. So this is 120 being the invoice price, we have discussed this, and 3,000 ka proportionate expense will also be taken. So 120 500 appears to be the value of stock, and ये stock के अंदर 120 के ऊपर loading content बैठा हुआ है. Loading content was I think 120, it was I think how much 20 रुपये का. सो 1,000 sarees के ऊपर 20 रुपया, 1,000 sarees के ऊपर 20 रुपया appears to be 20,000 is the loading content. So 120 500 will come here as stock, and 20,000 will come here as loading content. 1,000 into 20 loading content. We have not taken 1,000 ka proportionate value because this is a selling expense. I only take those expenses in my stock valuation up to the point where the goods reach the consignee's go down, and then add less करने के बाद, account balance करने के बाद, we will get the profit as 85,250, which is going to be transferred to the consignor's profit and loss account. Here अपना हो गया consignment account. Then in the books of Mr. White is the consignee. I'll make the consignor account. First, I will debit him for my expenses. My expenses are my expenses on selling, the amount of commission due. This is my expenses spent on behalf of the consignor, so he is my debtor. However, I am also collecting sales on behalf of him, so he is my creditor, so I'll credit him with the amount of sales. ठीक है, and he has also paid some amount एक साथ, किधर गया 5 लाख रुपया, ये वाला. This amount he simply paid ad hoc. So once he pays the amount, the entry is consignor account debit to bank. So consignor account debit to bank 5 lakhs, and then the balancing figure appears to be this. This can either be paid off now or it will be carried forward. The question is silent, so this is to balance carried down. Consignor is the creditor of this consignee for 87,750 rupees, and this is how we have done question number 3 as well, which pertains to May 2019. One more question gone. ठीक है. Let us now start with question number 4 on consignment, and this question is based on November 19. 1 minute, let me have a sip of water. November 19 का क्वेश्चन है मनोज ऑफ नोएडा. Yes, back. Let us start with question number 4 pertaining to November 19. So let's start reading, please. Manoj of Noida consigned to Kiran of Jaipur. So Noida is the consignor, Jaipur is the consignee. Goods to be sold at invoice price which represents 125% of cost. So अगर cost 100 है, the invoice price is 125. That means the loading content is 25. ठीक है. Commission is 10% of sales at invoice price and 25% of excess realized above invoice price. We have solved sums like this, shouldn't be a problem. The expenses on freight and insurance incurred by the consignor is 15,000. ठीक है. Account sales received by Manoj shows that Kiran has effected sales of 1,50,000 in respect of 75% of the consignment. So can I say, out of the full consignment, if 75% is sold, 25% is the closing stock as of now? Yes. ठीक है. His selling expenses of 12,000. ठीक है. 10% of the consignment of the value 18,750 was destroyed by fire appears to be abnormal. Abnormal loss is loss by fire, loss by theft at the Jaipur godown. So consignee के godown में loss हो गया. Kiran is the consignee. He remitted the balance in favor of Manoj. So balancing figure pay off कर दिया. So we do have an abnormal loss in this question. Also, the goods which are sent on consignment, उसका invoice price directly दिया नहीं है. So this question is all in all a good question to revise on the last date, because abnormal loss भी इसके अंदर है. तुम्हारा invoice value of the goods directly बोला नहीं है. So all these small things are different as compared to a regular question on consignment, which makes the question fair bit interesting. So it's a good thing to revise on the last day. Moving on, let us start by making consignment account. Now tell me, normally we are given the value of the goods which are sent on consignment. Here it is not given, but here they have given the last line which says 10% of the consignment goods of the value 18,750, which means 10% of the goods का value है 18,750. That means some amount of goods consigned, that amount का 10% is 18,750, which means the full value of the goods has to be 18,750 into 10 appears to be 187,500, because 187,500 into 10% is 18,750, and this is the invoice price of the goods which are sent on consignment, with which we are going to start the consignment ledger. So ये अपने को indirectly बोला है कि कितना goods अपन ने भेजा है. So we will start with this amount as goods sent, and obviously this will represent the invoice value, and we will reverse the loading content on the opposite side. So consignment account debit to goods sent on consignment appears to be 187,500. Now what is the loading content? Loading content was 125% of cost, means if 100 is the cost, 25 is the loading content, 125 is the invoice price. This 125 corresponds to 187,500. What corresponds to 25? It is 1/5 of 187,500, appears to be 35 or 36 something, 37,500. This is the loading content, and that is by goods sent on consignment. Reversal, the loading content. here ना हो गया गुड सेंट, वी हैव डिराइव्ड द वैल्यू इनडायरेक्टली एंड वी हैव ऑल्सो रिमूव्ड और रिवर्स द लोडिंग कंटेंट फ्रॉम द गुड्स सेंट. ठीक है, ये अपना हो गया गुड सेंट एंड लोडिंग. देन किरण गेट्स अ कमीशन ऑन सो एंड सो ऑन सेल, बाद में कर लेंगे इसको. Expenses incurred by the consignor are 15,000, so it is to cash bank 15,000. Normal regular entry for expenses of the consignor. Account sales showed that Kiran has affected sales of 1,50,000, so it is by Kiran 1,50,000, and this corresponds to 4/5 proportion of the goods sent for 1,50,000. ठीक है, आगे बढ़ेंगे. And his selling expenses are 12,000, ये वाला लाइन. That is consignment account debit to consignee, that is to Kiran for expenses, वो यहाँ पे आ चुका है for amount spent by him. दो चीज बचा, स्टॉक एंड एबनॉर्मल लॉस, नहीं तीन चीज बचा, स्टॉक, एबनॉर्मल लॉस एंड commission. Abnormal loss was 10% of the value of the goods. So let us start with the abnormal loss. Now 18,750 is the invoice price of the goods. My job is to value the goods at cost. So 18,750 into 25 upon 1, ये अपना लोडिंग कंटेंट हो गया, मेरे को चाहिए कॉस्ट. सो into 100 divided by 125. This is going to be the cost of the goods destroyed by fire. And now I will take proportional expenses up to the goods reach the godown or up to the goods reach the place of loss. So I will take expenses proportionate of 15,000. And किरण का expenses जो है वो sale expenses है कि कैसे है, his selling expense यहाँ पे. I will not take any selling expense in whichever valuation, so I'll only take the proportionate expense of the consignor expenses. So 15,000 का 10%, because 10% value has been destroyed. This amount and this amount I will add to get the value of the abnormal loss. Let us see how the ICA has presented valuation of abnormal loss. First, it is the invoice price of the goods, which we have done. 18,750 into 100 by 125, that is 15,000, and 15,000 ka 10%, that is 1,500. Total amount comes to 16,500. This is the cost. This is the cost of the abnormal loss. Will go on consignment account credit side as by abnormal loss. किधर गया? By abnormal loss. यहाँ पे आ चुका है, and 16,500. एक चीज चला गया. Then let us come to commission. Commission का line क्या? Find out the commission of the consignee. ठीक है, let's read that line. Commission 10% of sales at invoice price. So tell me what is the sales percentage. The sales percentage is 75% of the consignment. And what is the full value of the consignment? The full value of consignment is 187,500. ये अपना हो गया full value of consignment. And इसका अपन ने 75% बेचा है. So commission is going to be basic commission is going to be, एक मिनट, हाँ, basic commission is 187,500 का 75%. So 187,500 into 75% appears to be 140,625. 140,625. This is the invoice price of the goods sold. And additional commission is going to be actual sales, which is 1,50,000. हाँ, 1,50,000. 1,50,000 minus 140,625. ये amount के ऊपर 25%. So 150 minus 140,625, 9,375, इसके ऊपर into 25% appears to be 2,343.75. 2,343.75 and 140 के ऊपर 10% appears to be 140,62.5. ये दो ऐड करने के बाद we are going to get this total commission. Commission was invoice price of sale proceeds, that is टोटल का 75% बिकॉज 70% इज सोल्ड. उस वैल्यू का इनवॉइस प्राइस के ऊपर का 10% एंड एनी प्राइस ऑफ सेल्स अबाउट द आईपी उसका 25%. लेट अस सी हाउ द आईसीआई हैज सॉल्व्ड. कमीशन यहाँ पे 75% of 187 we have taken this value as 140 and any excess 150 minus this amount के ऊपर जो भी excess amount आता है उस excess amount का 25% and IP का 10% सब मिला के sales appears to be, I mean your commission appears to be 16406, the entry for which is consignment account debit to consignee as commission 16406. Commission gone, गुड्स सेंड का लोडिंग गॉन, एबनॉर्मल गॉन, एक ही चीज बचा एज द वैल्यू ऑफ द कंसाइनमेंट स्टॉक. नाउ व्हाट इज द टोटल प्रपोर्शन ऑफ द कंसाइनमेंट स्टॉक? सिंपल, आउट ऑफ 100% ऑफ द गुड्स सेंट, दैट इज फुल goods sent, can I say 75% are sold and 10% are destroyed at the godown, which means 15% is the amount or the quantity of the closing stock remaining. So I will take 15% of the cost up to the point where the goods have reached the godown, and that is the valuation of my closing stock. Which all costs should come in the valuation? I think goods sent will come, cash will come, and Kiran ka expenses on selling will not come. So 187,500 plus 15,000, the whole into 15%, 187,500 plus 15,000, the whole into 15% appears to be 30375, and that is the value of my closing stock. इसके अंदर लोडिंग कंटेंट भी रिवर्स करना पड़ेगा. सो वैल्यूएशन ऑफ क्लोजिंग स्टॉक यहाँ पे देखना पड़ेगा अपने को. दिस इज द IP ऑफ द गुड सेंट इज 187,500, एक्सपेंसेस 15,000 एंड उसका 15% बिकॉज 25% was remaining after the goods were sold. Out of 25%, 10% were destroyed, which is left with 15%, and the value comes to 30,375. And इसमें से loading content निकालना है, लेकिन loading is only on the goods which are sent, and the loading percentage is 25% of cost or 1/5 of the IP. So 187,500 का 15%, this is the IP of the goods left, and इसका into 1/5 और divide by 5 करके 5625 is the value of my closing stock का stock reserve. ठीक है, यहाँ पे तुम्हारा आ चुका है. This is how the value of 5625 is derived. Have they shown the working? हाँ, ये वाला 37,500 is the loading content IP, and उसका 15% is 5625. That is how you get the value of the loading content of the closing stock, and that completes the consignment, and the balancing figure is going to be 2156. In this case it's a loss. This is going to be transferred to the debit side of our P&L in the books of accounts as loss on consignment. GP will come on the credit side, all the expenses of business will come on debit side, and this 2156 loss will also be a part of debit side in my books of accounts of the business. So consignment account is sorted. Anything else that we required to be prepared? Any consignor account, consignee account? Nahin. So that also completes question number 4. Good question to revise, mainly because of abnormal loss valuation. Have we valued the abnormal loss? Abnormal loss अपना valuation रह गया मेरे ख्याल से. अपना कमीशन कंप्यूट करके हो गया, स्टॉक कंप्यूट करके हो गया, एबनॉर्मल लॉस इज ऑल्सो वैल्यूड, बराबर अपना 10% अपने लॉस ले लिया था. ठीक है, सो इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन बिकॉज ऑफ वैल्यूएशन ऑफ एबनॉर्मल लॉस. Important question because we have also done the valuation of closing stock as a percentage of the inventory left, and also the commission computation is also important. So this makes it a good question to revise on the last date. So please do not forget to go through this question, and this is done with question number 4. ठीक है, fairly important question to revise on the last date, which means 4 questions have been sorted. And November 19th RTP is also done. ठीक है, we will now start with the May 20 RTP question on consignment. So that will complete all RTP questions of the consignment chapter. चालू करेंगे. Yes, let us start with question number 5, last question of RTP for consignment. So let us start please. Ganpat of Nagpur consigns 500 cases. ये अपना consignment का lot लग रहा है. कॉस्टिंग रुपीज 1500 टू रावत ऑफ जयपुर, ठीक है. गणपत पेज द फॉलोइंग एक्सपेंसेस इन कनेक्शन विद द कंसाइनमेंट. सो ऑल दीज expenses are consignor expenses appears to be consignment account debit to cash bank. So carriage, freight, loading charges, all these are consignor के expenses, ठीक है. Then Rawat sells 350 cases at 2100 per case. ये अपना हो गया sale proceeds, and 350 cases sold out of 500 cases consigned. So 150 appears to be my closing stock, ठीक है. And he incurs the following expenses. So these are consignee expenses. लिख लेते बाजू में, ठीक है. क्लियरिंग चार्जेस, वेयरहाउसिंग चार्जेस एंड स्टोरेज चार्जेस, एंड यू हैव पैकिंग एंड सेलिंग चार्जेस, ठीक है. द क्लियरिंग चार्जेस आर नॉर्मली पेड वंस द गुड्स आर कलेक्टेड एट द कंसाइनीज प्लेस ऑफ गोडाउन. दिस इज एक्सपेंसेस पेड टू क्लियर द गुड्स फ्रॉम द स्टेशन अप टू द कंसाइनीज गोडाउन, ठीक है. It was found that 50 cases were lost in transit. So this is a loss which has happened in transit, abnormal loss, ठीक है. They have mentioned that, and 50 cases were in transit. So these 50 cases are still in transit. So these 50 cases the consignee must have not received because ये transit में ही है अब तक, ठीक है. रावत कौन है? रावत कंसाइनी है. रावत द कंसाइनी इज गेटिंग अ कमीशन ऑफ 10% ऑफ द ग्रॉस सेल्स. जो भी अपना सेल्स होता है उसका 10% ले लेंगे, एंड दैट इज द कंसाइनीज एक्सपेंसेस, कंसाइनर्स एक्सपेंस, ठीक है. मेक अ कंसाइनमेंट अकाउंट एंड रावत अकाउंट इन द बुक्स ऑफ गणपत. गणपत इज द कंसाइनर. ये भी काफ़ी इंटरेस्टिंग सम है बिकॉज द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ गुड्स इन ट्रांजिट, this is something which is not common in most questions. So this adjustment also has to be gone through after before the exam. So this makes the sum interesting, ठीक है. So as usual, let us first start by starting with the goods sent. I don't think there is any loading element involved here because they haven't mentioned the selling price or the invoice price. So this is a case where the goods are sent at cost. अपना पूरा consignment account cost पे आने वाला है, ठीक है. So consignment account debit to goods sent on consignment appears to be 7,50,000. ये कहाँ से आया? This is nothing but 500 cases into 1,500. So 1500 into 500 appears to be 7,50,000. Then consignment account debit to bank. I will add 15,000 plus 45 makes it 60. 60 plus 50 75,000. These are consignor expenses. वो नाम carriage हो कि freight हो कि loading हो, अपन कॉमन यूज करेंगे कंसाइनमेंट अकाउंट टू बैंक, एंड वी कैन पोस्ट 15 plus 45 plus 15 टुगेदर एज वेल. सो कंसाइनमेंट अकाउंट डेबिट टू बैंक एज फार एज एक्सपेंसेस इज कंसर्न. एक मिनट, हाँ, to bank for expenses, and total is 75,000. You all can write to cash and to cash also. So to cash bracket carriage, to cash bracket freight, to cash bracket loading. तुम तीनों कर सकते हो, कुछ फर्क पड़ेगा नहीं, ठीक है. रावत सेल्स 350 at 2100. So 350 into 2100 appears to be 735. That is by consignee, that is by sales, and 7,35,000. I will debit the consignee because he is holding my money. ये सेल्स उसको नहीं है. He has sold goods to his customers on our behalf. So अपना सेल्स हो जाएगा, ठीक है. Then he spent the following for consignee. वो नाम हो क्लियरिंग का या वेयरहाउसिंग का या पैकिंग का. ही हैज स्पेंड मनी ऑन आवर बिहाफ. बैंक से उसके गया है, बट दिस एक्सपेंस विल बी बोर्न बाय अस. सो कंसाइनमेंट इज गोइंग टू बी डेबिटेड, कंसाइनी इज गोइंग टू बी क्रेडिटेड. सो इट इज कंसाइनमेंट अकाउंट डेबिट टू कंसाइनी, दैट इज रावत फॉर एक्सपेंसेस. All expenses put together is 50,000. That's my consignee expenses. Then commission कुछ है क्या उसका? Commission is 10% of gross sales. So let us post the commission also. ये वाला 10% on gross sales. So 7,35,000 का 10% to Rawat because amount is due to him. He is my creditor. Consignment expense, so consignment debit, and 7,500 is posted on the debit side of the consignment account. ठीक है. अब क्या बचा? अभी दो ही चीज बचा. वैल्यूएशन ऑफ क्लोजिंग स्टॉक. सो क्लोजिंग स्टॉक वैल्यू एंड goods in transit का value. This is the two things which are left to be done, for which we will have to go to the working note. So can I say कितना नहीं, अपना एक और चीज बचा है abnormal loss. So out of 500 goods which are sent, 350 are sold. उसमें से 50 जो है that is loss. Further 50 is still in transit. So can I say 500 minus 350 minus 50 is what is left at the consignee godown. 50 goods are left in the consignee godown. ठीक है. So first let us try and value the abnormal loss. Where has the loss happened? Loss in transit. So अपना consignor expense पूरा आएगा and consignee का expense नहीं आएगा. So if 75,000 is spent for 500 cases, what is the amount spent on 50? That is the proportionate consignor expenses, and the cost of 1500 will definitely come. So let us go through the working note what the ICI has done for valuation. Right? They have not done the valuation. Oh, they have done in statement form. ठीक है. Let's go through it. Consignor expenses कौन सा working note है for a loss in transit? Working note 1. ठीक है. 500 केस है. ठीक है. ये अपना हो गया फुल वैल्यू 150 पर केस. ये अपना हो गया कंसाइनर एक्सपेंसेस. ठीक है. द कॉस्ट ऑफ cases is 1500 being the cost, and proportion expense comes to 150, that is 75,000. पूरा expense तुम्हारा कितना है? 75,000 divided by 500 into 50 appears to be 750, and that 750 has come here. So 750 plus, so 50 cases into 1500 m plus 750 m plus amount appears to be 75,000. नहीं, मैंने कुछ गलत किया. ओ, मैंने कंसाइनर एक्सपेंस ले लिया. गुड्स 7,50,000 डिवाइडेड बाय हाउ मेनी केसेस वर सेंट? 500 केसेस वर सेंट. तो ये हो गया अपना कॉस्ट पर केस 1000. सो 1500 इंटू कितना हो गया डिस्ट्रॉय? 50 m plus 75,000, and what is the 75,000 divided by 500 into 50? 7,500. So it is 50 into 1,500, and 75,000 was the amount spent on all 500. उसमें से 50 बचा, उसका कितना आया? 1,500 into 50 m plus 75,000, and 75,000 divided by 500 into 50 m plus MRC 82,500 should be the value of abnormal stock. Abnormal loss 82,500. How have they done? उन्होंने I think they have taken per unit. ठीक है, कैसा भी करो आंसर आना चाहिए. सो अपना एक चीज हो गया. वी हैव डन द वैल्यूएशन ऑफ द एबनॉर्मल लॉस. क्या बचा अभी अपना? नाउ वी हैव टू वैल्यू द स्टॉक ऑफ द कंसाइनमेंट दैट इज लेफ्ट विथ अस. ठीक है. कैन आई से दिस अमाउंट ऑफ 50 इज लेफ्ट विथ अस? यस, ये काफी इंपॉर्टेंट है. सो लेट अस स्टार्ट विद द वैल्यूएशन ऑफ द स्टॉक विच इज लेफ्ट विद द कंसाइनी. ठीक है. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल कॉस्ट तो आएगा ही आएगा अपना. So valuation of closing stock. First aspect is the cost, appears to be 50 into 1,500 flat cost. So 50 into 1500 appears to be 75,000. Then there is the consignor expenses. This appears to be 75,000 consignor expenses. This was spent on 500. तो 50 के ऊपर कितना? This appears to be 7,500. So ये अपना हो गया 7,500. ठीक है. Consignor expenses in transit. We are doing stock valuation. ठीक है. Then consignee expenses. कंसाइनी का एक्सपेंस भी आने वाला है, बिकॉज कंसाइनी हैज स्पेंट हाउ मच? ही हैज स्पेंट 18,000. ये वाला इसका भी तो प्रपोर्शन खर्चा आने वाला है, बिकॉज इन माई स्टॉक वैल्यूएशन आई ऑलवेज टेक दैट कंटेंट इन माई स्टॉक विच इज all expenses incurred up to the point where the goods have reached the consignees go down. So 18,000. Now 18,000 was first of all not spent on all the 500 goods consigned, because out of 500 goods consigned 50 are lost in transit and 50 are still in transit. तो उसने जो 18,000 स्पेंड किया हुआ है, this 18,000 is only on the 400 goods which are physically received by him, because 50 is lost, he did not receive them, and 50 are still in transit. So he cannot spend an amount for the goods which are already in transit. So this 18,000 was spent on 400. What is the value of 50? So 18,000 divided by 400, the whole into 50 appears to be 2250. कंसाइनर्स एक्सपेंसेस चला गया, 75,000 was spent on 500. ठीक है, 50 के ऊपर कितना, ठीक है. सो 350 में से 150 में से 50 बराबर, ठीक है. सो 75,000 प्लस 7,500 प्लस 2250 appears to be 84,750. दिस इज द वैल्यू ऑफ माई क्लोजिंग स्टॉक का इन्वेंट्री, 84,750, ये वाला. ठीक है, ये अपना हो गया वैल्यूएशन ऑफ द क्लोजिंग स्टॉक दैट इज लेफ्ट विथ मी. अभी एक चीज बचा है, दैट इज वैल्यूएशन ऑफ गुड्स इन ट्रांजिट. गुड्स इन ट्रांजिट, देयर आर 50 गुड्स इन ट्रांजिट एज मेंशन्ड, ये वाला 50 केसेस आर स्टिल इन ट्रांजिट. ठीक है, नाउ व्हाट इज द वैल्यूएशन ऑफ 50 गुड्स? फर्स्ट आएगा कॉस्ट कंटेंट एंड कंसाइनर एक्सपेंसेस भी आएगा, बट कंसाइनी एक्सपेंस नहीं आएगा बिकॉज दीज आर स्टिल इन ट्रांजिट. So I will do a small working note here. So 50 goods के ऊपर 1500 कॉस्ट तो आना ही है, and consignor expenses was 75,000. This was spent on 500 goods consigned. तो 50 के ऊपर कितना है? So 50 into 1500, 75,000, and 75,000 का 70,000 का 10%, 7,500 appears to be 82,500, and this will be your 82,500 consignment inventory in transit. So we have done all the stock valuation, we have done the valuation of goods in transit, ये वाला, I mean goods lost in transit, abnormal loss. We have done the valuation of the goods which are lying in the godown of the consignee, and we have done the valuation of the goods which are in transit. Important in this entire question was this: you normally tend to take this amount as 500, but this is wrong because the consignee only took the physical delivery of only 400 goods. So whatever expense was incurred by the consignee will only be incurred on 400 goods, because 50 तो उसको मिले ही नहीं, lost in transit, 50 तो उसको मिले ही नहीं further because they are still in transit. So whatever amount he has spent, he has only spent on 400 goods. So 18,000 is for 400, how much is for 50? And we have not taken the consignee expenses. We have not taken the consignee expenses for this and this in my stock valuation, because these are incurred after the goods have reached the consignees go down. And that is how you do all the posting in the consignment account, and once you balance everything, you will get the balancing figure as 36,250. That is nothing but the consignment profit will be transferred in the profit loss account. When we make the consignee account, as usual, first we'll debit him for the entire sales content, then we'll credit him for expenses of consignment. Then we credit him for the consignment के expenses, we credit him for the commission which is due, and balancing figure either he gives us in cash, in which case we write by cash bank, or we simply carry it forward to the next period as by balance carried down. ठीक है, and that is how you finish off the consignee account as well. Here they have given a small note for valuation of the inventories, and here they have given the valuation for the goods in transit, and they have simply assumed that this amount is not paid, because of which it is by balance carried down. ठीक है, very important sum to revise on the last date, so please revise this question. Many new things. One is the fact that you have to value goods in transit. Second is the fact that if the consignee has not received certain goods, तो उसका proportionate cost के लिए he will only spend the amount on the remaining physical goods actually received by him. Second concept. And the third concept is do not take these charges. Do not take these charges in the valuation of cost, I mean the cost of closing stock or the valuation of the abnormal loss, both. All cost only up to the point of go down should be taken, or all cost up to the point of loss, whichever is earlier. ठीक है, this completes question 5 of the RTP for May 20 of consignment, and that is the end of all questions of RTP in consignment. So in the next session we will start with some other chapter. Consignment chapter is done. Alright, see you guys in the next session where I'll take up some other chapter for revision and for RTP questions videos. Alright, see you guys. Bye bye.